Yes. Now, item 5B. Report by the Secretariat on its activities. It's a very important thing. So we will now move to item 5B, report by the Secretariat on its activities. January 2022 to June 2021. Mr. Secretary, the floor is yours to present the activities carried out by the Secretariat within the reporting period.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Dear ladies and gentlemen, it is, as always, both an honour and a pleasure to share with you the activities of the Secretariat during the 18-month period going from January 2020 to June 2021. And the report follows the report which was presented by the Secretariat to the 8th session of the General Assembly in September 2020. And that report had covered the period from January 2018 to December 2019. So as you may see in the document 5B, the Secretariat has advanced in many areas that are important for the life of the Convention. And this has been despite some challenges obviously posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. In the interest of time, I'll only focus on some key points in my presentation, as more details are presented in the document itself. And of course, I will stand ready after the presentation to answer any questions committee members may have. So as I mentioned, the outbreak and propagation of the COVID-19 pandemic has obviously had a significant impact on the work we undertook, as it has for everybody, during the reporting period. And it also goes without saying that the operations of the Secretariat still remain significantly affected by the conditions of the ongoing pandemic, and the fact that this present session had to be very recently changed to be fully held online is an obvious case in point. So in this context, the priority remained to ensure that the core statutory meetings of the governing bodies and evaluation bodies could still take place, so that the Convention would continue to function properly without being burdened by with accumulated issues to address once the pandemic subsides. This involved the development of several new working methods and tools which we needed for adapting to online modalities of work. And one interesting example is the introduction of an online monitoring interface for the evaluation body, which the members use to exchange views in order to facilitate consensus building during their meeting. And this was developed specifically in order to support the online modality, and proved to be really quite successful in helping their work, so that evaluation body members have now suggested that we maintain this tool in place even once presential meetings resume. I'd also like to highlight in this regard the publication in English-French of the UNESCO report Living Heritage in the Face of COVID-19, which was published in May 2021. This was one of a series of thematic reports issued by UNESCO on the impact of the pandemic on culture. Others concerned world heritage, museums, cities, as well as the cultural and creative industries. The report was developed from the findings of an extensive online survey and exchange with the many stakeholders of the Convention, which the Secretariat had launched early in the pandemic so as to understand how the measures being put in place impacted living heritage. The report concludes with 3 broad recommendations for all stakeholders in the field of intangible cultural heritage safeguarding, to help prepare for the recovery phase and beyond. And these 3 main recommendations are: A, help communities recover by strengthening support mechanisms to living heritage bearers at the local level, including through local governance structures; to take advantage of digital technologies to increase the visibility and understanding of living heritage, as well as to strengthen and amplify the linkages between safeguarding living heritage and emergency preparedness, response and recovery plans and programs. And as you could see in the report, the Secretariat then worked with a number of UNESCO field offices to immediately start implementing these recommendations in 10 countries and territories where pilot activities were initiated in June 2021. They are Barbados, Bolivia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Colombia, Ecuador, Gambia, Indonesia, Jamaica, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and St. Martin. You may have the opportunity to learn more about one of these projects during an online site event being held by our Quito office this Wednesday, 15th December, from 17 hours 30 to 19 hours 30 Paris time. And further information on that is available on the online calendar of site events. I'm also very pleased to be able to inform you that our global capacity building program has managed to continue and enjoys continued success. Since its first inception, the number of benefiting countries has now increased to 138, including 45 countries in Africa and 30 in small island developing states. Over the last 2 years, we made a lot of efforts to support the rollout of the Reform Periodic Reporting Mechanism, first in Latin America and the Caribbean region in 2020, and then across the Europe region in 2021. And you'll hear more details of this under item 7B. We've also had to adapt our trainings to online modalities, and building on the lessons we learned, we found that there are both benefits as well as disadvantages, of course, to these online modalities. So we propose to continue reorienting the program to include a multimodal delivery approach which would combine fully online, hybrid, and in-presentia training. This should provide opportunities for expanding our outreach, our program outreach, to reach more people and new audiences, as well as harnessing potentials for innovative pedagogy. Of course, there is also interesting cost-effectiveness measures to be gained. In that respect, I'm very pleased to announce now that the Secretariat has developed the first massive open online course, a MOOC, on living heritage and sustainable development in cooperation with ICHCAP, which is the International Information and Networking Center in Asia and the Pacific, a Category 2 center under the auspices of UNESCO, as well as the Sustainable Development Goals Academy and the UNESCO Chair for Research on Intangible Cultural Heritage and Cultural Diversity at the National Autonomous University of Mexico. We are launching the pre-registration campaign tomorrow during the lunch breaks, or long break for those who are not having lunch. If you allow me, Mr. Chairperson, I'd like to ask my colleagues to really display a short trailer about this initiative. Please, could we see? Hello, my name is Tim Curtis, and I'm the Secretary of the 2003 Convention for the Safeguarding of the Intangible Cultural Heritage. And welcome to this first UNESCO Massive Open online course.
Hello, my name is Cristina Amezcua Chavez, and I am a researcher at the National Autonomous University of Mexico. By taking this course, you will gain a better understanding of intangible cultural heritage and its relations with sustainable development, while exploring examples and experiences of communities from around the world.
This course brings together lead thinkers and facilitators in the field from around the world.
I'm here to talk about intangible cultural heritage as a living heritage.
We will also understand the reason for the centrality of community in the safeguarding policies and plans.
We will explore community-based approaches as the best way of ensuring the widest possible participation from the communities, groups, and individuals.
What kind of measures might prove useful to safeguard and living cultural manifestations?
I want to go into detail about a really useful safeguarding measure, the inventory.
Today's chapter will focus on how a gender-responsive approach to living heritage can support achieving gender equality.
We will discuss ways in which the integration of intangible cultural heritage in education contributes to achieving aspects of the Sustainable Development Goals.
I will be speaking today about the relation between safeguarding intangible cultural heritage, health and well-being, and sustainable development.
The topic of today's talk is ways to ensure that communities benefit from income generation based on their living heritage, while mitigating any risks.
Today we are going to talk about intangible cultural heritage, food security, and agriculture.
Community-based and local knowledge offer valuable insights into environmental and climate change.
Intangible cultural heritage keeps people united and brings hope, and it is an important tool in both recovering from and preventing conflict.
Welcome to this incredible journey through cultural diversity.
Dear committee members, Mr. Chairperson, as you may recall, the Secretariat launched the program on safeguarding intangible cultural heritage in formal and informal education and non-formal education, together with the education sector some 4 years ago. Since then, with our field officers, we've been carrying out multiple projects, and these can be seen on the recently developed Clearinghouse on Living Heritage and Education, which contains documentation of all the innovative projects carried out so far under the program. Indeed, we collaborated closely with the education sector of UNESCO to jointly develop and deliver an online training course on living heritage and education, resulting in a global learning network of 40 resource persons equipped to provide further training and advisory services in this field. The two sectors furthermore collaborated to build new knowledge on the education-related indicators of the overall results framework for the Convention and their relationship with Sustainable Development Goal 4, and we did this in particular through an expert meeting in 2020 and a public webinar in 2021. And we're also intensifying our efforts in the development of other thematic initiatives based on the various decisions and recommendations of governing bodies to better integrate ICH safeguarding within the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. And these include current work going on the issue of ICH and climate change, as well as ICH and commercializations, including livelihoods, obviously, as well as ICH in cities. We're well advanced in developing these position papers with a range of stakeholders to be able to present to the next session of the committee. For example, concerning ICH and commercialization, a guidance note on safeguarding measures and good practices addressing the risk of decontextualization and over-commercialization is well under development and should be ready to be published in 2022. This will be followed by a global survey involving states, NGOs, researchers, as well, and this is something of a bit of a first time for us, all the contact persons of the elements inscribed on the lists. So I'll start wrapping up my presentation with a few key figures that illustrate the diversity of activities carried out in this biennium. Just quickly, between January 2020 and June 2021, 14 statutory meetings were organized for the General Assembly, the Committee, the Bureau of the Committee, and the Evaluation Body. 3 training workshops were organized in cooperation with Category 2 centers. 55 new trained members from Asia and the Pacific, Africa, Europe, and the Arab states joined the network, which now totals 103 facilitators, of which 61% are women. With 24 ongoing international assistance projects, 20 requests were administered and 10 were approved, including 5 for Africa and 3 in small island developing states. As I mentioned, we have a global network now of 40 resource persons to provide training and advisory services on ICH in formal and non-formal education, and more than 140 universities were engaged in networking activities, including 39 universities in the Arab states, following similar activities in Africa, Asia, and the Pacific, and the Latin America and the Caribbean. The dive into intangible cultural heritage, which has started to become well known, was updated to show the links between elements on the list of the Convention and the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and the interface was displayed on 21st of May during the high-level event on culture and sustainable development convened in New York by the President of the United Nations General Assembly. Ladies and gentlemen, now that I am reaching the end of my presentation, I would like to stress an important issue that is key for the future that will come up in later items. The Secretariat, I feel, after some 6 years of in this position as Secretary of the Convention, that it is a duty to signal that we do seem to be coming to a critical juncture in the work of the Secretariat. We are doing our utmost to support the Convention's governing bodies, accompanying states in the implementation of the Convention, spearheading initiatives in new thematic fields, and this work will be presented to you in some detail in the iOS evaluation to be examined under item 10, and I don't want to anticipate the debate that may take place later this week under that item, but do feel it's important to stress that the Convention and the work of the Secretariat is reaching a point where choices will need to be made. In light of this situation, the governing bodies of the Convention may find it timely to take stock of this situation and provide guidance for the coming years. For the further development of the Convention, it seems essential that a decision be made on priority areas to work for which we in the Secretariat should focus our efforts. And this is proposed in the draft decision. With that, Mr. Chairperson, I would like to end my presentation, and of course I will welcome any questions members may have. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you so much for the detailed explanation about the work of the entire Secretariat. Thank you again, Mr. Secretary, for your report, which gave a very good overview of the activities undertaken by the Secretariat. It's hard work. I'm sure that many of you have questions or comments to make. Now, I open the floor to any member. Please go ahead. Yes? Yes, I can see them. We are taking down all the hands up. Just give us few seconds. Yes, I think now many members are participating for the discussion. I'm very, very happy. Over to you, Mr. Curtis. Can you kindly give the names of this list?
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. The list we have now for committee members involves Czechia, Sweden, Cote d'Ivoire, Azerbaijan, Djibouti, Japan, Netherlands, China, Poland, Brazil, Sri Lanka, Togo, and non-committee members we have Syria and Uzbekistan. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I think now, who is the first? Sexia. Yes, over to you, Sexia. Very happy to open the floor to you. Sexia, yes. Yes.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Nous sommes convaincus que vous conduirez nos travaux avec succès. Permettez-moi tout d'abord vous remercier pour le spectacle magnifique qui nous a rappelé que nous aurions pu nous réunir à votre invitation dans votre beau pays. Pour tout dire, nous préférions être en présentiel, même à Paris, afin de pouvoir plonger dans le patrimoine culturel immatériel en rencontrant tous ces acteurs face à face au lieu de cette expérience virtuelle. Mais la situation étant ce qu'elle est, nous sommes tout de même ravis que cette célébration de la Convention de 2003 puisse se tenir en ligne et nous remercions le Secrétariat pour la préparation efficace de notre réunion. Nous le remercions également pour son engagement à la bonne mise en œuvre de la Convention et pour son soutien et l'accompagnement de la communauté internationale du PCI, notamment à la lumière de la pandémie mondiale qui a affecté son travail et toutes ses activités mentionnées dans le rapport très riche. Nous sommes conscients que la nouvelle situation représente une charge de travail accrue et nous apprécions son adaptabilité en termes de méthode et de procédure du travail. Nous avons salué la mise en place d'une plateforme d'échange d'expériences communautaires concernant la pandémie de COVID-19 qui a affecté le PCI de manière aussi radicale que l'art vivant. Nous avons pris conscience de l'importance du partage du patrimoine vivant pour les communautés et du fait que l'expérimenter dans le monde réel est l'un des fondements de notre existence humaine. Nous sommes reconnaissants pour la poursuite de la réflexion très importante sur les mécanismes d'inscription dans la Convention et nous attendons également beaucoup de la cartographie des domaines d'activité des ONG accrédités qui permettra de mieux les associer à la mise en œuvre de la Convention. Nous attendons avec grand intérêt de voir comment le nouveau mécanisme de rapport périodique fera ses preuves et comment les données générées seront utilisées. L'assistance du secrétariat en matière de formation en ligne a joué un rôle majeur et nous avons pu en profiter cette année alors que notre région se préparait à soumettre des rapports périodiques. Nous considérons que l'initiative visant à établir un lien entre l'agenda du patrimoine culturel immatériel et l'éducation formelle et non formelle est très importante quand elle permet d'accroître la sensibilisation et le respect du patrimoine vivant parmi les jeunes et la communauté au sens large et de renforcer l'identité, la fierté et l'appréciation de la diversité culturelle. Il ne fait aucun doute que ces initiatives éducatives et l'engagement associé des jeunes peuvent jouer un rôle clé dans la sauvegarde et la transmission du patrimoine culturel immatériel. Nous tenons à souligner le projet Plongé dans le PCI qui présente le PCI au grand public de manière attrayante et contribue à sa visibilité et avec lequel nous avons d'excellentes expériences. Finalement, j'ai deux questions spécifiques. Nous aimerions savoir si le guide méthodologique pour la préparation d'inventaire du PCI dans les contextes urbains, qui est présent en espagnol, est ou sera disponible dans d'autres langues de travail. Et en ce qui concerne les synergies avec d'autres conventions, nous aimerions savoir si le règlement intérieur type adopté par la Commission Culture de la 41e Conférence générale et la modification éventuelle des règlements intérieurs des organes directeurs de la Convention seront abordés lors de la prochaine Assemblée générale si les États parties le jugent nécessaire. Merci pour votre attention, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Cecilia. And over to you. I will go ahead now. Then I would like to open the floor to Sweden. Over to you, Sweden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Since it's the first time that Sweden takes the floor, we want to congratulate you to your presidency. Of course, we also had wished to be in Colombo, Sri Lanka. And even more after seeing the beautiful pictures and experiencing exciting Sri Lankan rituals, music and dance. Thank you so much. Sweden also want to thank the Secretariat for this, that has arranged this meeting under extraordinary circumstances and made new arrangement in a short time. We would also like to thank the Secretariat for this elaborate and excellent report and for the important results achieved. The Secretariat's activities are a cornerstone for the implementation of the Convention on national as well as international level. We have also seen how the living heritage entity has met the challenges during the pandemic. The extensive work of the reflection on the listing mechanism, together with capacity building and the work of developing several other important thematic themes, such as ICH in education, commercialization, and climate change. But when you do such a good job, you also become in demand. And as we can see under this and other upcoming items, the Secretariat's work has been carried out under limited resources. It is therefore important to make priorities and that those who are able can contribute with voluntary resources in order to strengthen the implementation of the Convention. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sweden. And now I go to Côte d'Ivoire. Over to you, the floor.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Merci, Monsieur le Président, pour la parole qui m'est donnée à la Côte d'Ivoire. Comme c'est la première fois que nous prenons la parole, nous voulons vous solliciter donc pour votre présidence. Effectivement, nous aurions voulu nous rendre tous au Sri Lanka. Malheureusement, la pandémie nous impose de rester chacun dans son salon ou dans son bureau pour participer à cette session. Alors, la Côte d'Ivoire voudrait féliciter vraiment le secrétariat pour le travail important abattu dans l'élaboration des documents. Et durant la période indiquée dans son rapport, elle félicite également le secrétariat pour son excellente adaptation aux réalités nouvelles et inattendues qu'impose la COVID-19 à toute l'humanité entière. Cette capacité de résilience a permis au secrétariat et à son équipe de faire, à M. Tim Curtis et à son équipe de faire preuve d'ingéniosité et d'innovation, d'invention pour initier et faire aboutir de grandes réflexions. Certaines de ces réflexions ont déjà produit des résultats. C'est le cas des principes et modalités opérationnelles pour le PCI dans les situations d'urgence. C'est aussi le cas de la disposition qui instaure le processus de dialogue dans le mécanisme d'inscription sur les listes de la candidature. Alors, la réflexion globale sur les mécanismes, tous les mécanismes d'institution, sur les différentes listes de la Convention est un point important pour nous, il nous semble important. Donc, nous attendons vraiment de cette session-là les résultats. Nous voulons voir comment cela va s'opérer et donc, c'est ce qui est important pour la Côte d'Ivoire. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the words. And now, do you like to answer, Mr. Curtis, now, or shall we go for? Yeah, I will open up to Azerbaijan. Over to you, Azerbaijan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As we take the floor for the first time, I would like to congratulate you, Mr. Chair, on successfully conducting this session, and very much regret that we couldn't have this session in your beautiful country. Would be happy, of course, to benefit from famous Sri Lankan hospitality.
Yeah, thank you.
I wish the committee under your chairmanship successful continuation. Mr. Chair, Azerbaijan would like to commend the efforts of the Secretariat of the 2003 Convention in continuing all activities since last year, despite the ongoing pandemic, and the way in which the culture sector overall could adapt its work to the context of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. We welcome the measures undertaken by the Secretariat in supporting the functioning of the core mechanisms of the committee, operational activities and programs, and are pleased to see that efforts have been made for the smooth organization of this committee session, which we had hoped so much to hold as a physical one. Azerbaijan further welcomes the measures undertaken by the Secretariat of the Culture sector in strengthening the synergies between 2003 Convention and other UNESCO cultural conventions, and notably 1954 Convention for the Protection of Cultural Property in the event of armed conflict and its two protocol. We believe this work should be continued and strengthened in the next biennium. Azerbaijan also welcomes the progress achieved by Secretariat in advancing the work on safeguarding intangible cultural heritage in emergencies, including situations of armed conflict and natural disasters, in line with the implementation of the strategy for reinforcing UNESCO's action for the protection of culture and the promotion of cultural pluralism in the event of armed conflict and its addendum. We believe this work should be continued, and we will of course propose also a slight amendment to the draft decision during the, acknowledging the work of the Secretariat in this area. Azerbaijan notes with great appreciation the efforts of the Secretariat in the implementation of the program in the field of intangible cultural heritage and education. We would call upon greater synergies and collaboration with specific programs of the UNESCO education sector, such as technical and vocational education and training, educational for sustainable development, and education in emergencies. Our delegation reiterates the importance of keeping the consistency of past and current decisions of the committee, and the challenge becomes even greater as the work of the committee and the scope of its discussions continue to grow. Finally, Mr. Chair, Azerbaijan fully supports the idea put forward by the Secretariat in its report to take stock of the workload and priorities of the Secretariat for the coming years. We also believe that such priorities should also be established with regard to the workload of the committee, especially in the context of the new procedures put forward as a result of the reflection on listing mechanisms. We consider that capacity building, safeguarding ICH in emergencies, intangible cultural heritage, and education for sustainable development should remain the primary priorities for the Secretariat for the upcoming years, along with strengthening the role and place of intangible cultural heritage in cultural policies in the context of the upcoming conference, Mondia Cult. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Azerbaijan. And now I would like to invite the delegate from Djibouti, Her Excellency Madam Hibo Moin Asowe, Minister of Youth and Cultural Affairs of Djibouti. Over to you, Madam.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Comme c'est la première fois que je prends la parole pour l'UNESCO, je tiens d'abord, au nom de la délégation djiboutienne, par vous féliciter pour votre brillante élection et louer par la même occasion votre leadership pour la manière avec laquelle, depuis le début, vous dirigez les travaux de cette 16e session du Comité intergouvernemental du patrimoine immatériel. Et surtout, dans ces circonstances particulières que nous connaissons, nous remercions également les Sri Lanka pour toutes les dispositions qu'il a prises pour nous accueillir virtuellement. Cette 16e session du PCI se tient dans un contexte marqué par la persistance de la pandémie de la Covid-19 et au moment où les perspectives restent entourées d'incertitudes au bout de la recrudescence de cette crise et l'apparition d'un nouveau variant. Nous pouvons, je crois, nous féliciter collectivement d'avoir œuvré afin de garantir la continuité des travaux pour la tenue de notre session malgré toutes les contraintes. Par ailleurs, permettez-moi, Monsieur le Président, au nom de la République de Djibouti, vice-président du comité, au nom du groupe SEICA, de remercier sincèrement le secrétariat de notre convention pour avoir toujours interagi avec nous de manière extrêmement positive et efficace et d'avoir su, à travers une agilité stratégique, nous assurer les moyens idoines pour nous permettre de poursuivre notre travail dans de bonnes conditions. Mesdames et messieurs, nous sommes ravis de constater, de partager et d'apprécier l'avancée remarquable réalisée par la Convention grâce à la mobilisation générale des États parties. À ce titre, je voudrais féliciter le Japon pour l'ensemble de ses initiatives pour soutenir le programme du PCI et plus particulièrement l'amélioration des outils et des mécanismes de l'esprit de cette Convention universelle qui repose sur notre union, notre solidarité à partager nos savoirs et à garantir la transmission du patrimoine culturel immatériel aux nouvelles générations, lesquelles réaliseront des nouvelles créations à leur tour, et c'est par la voie du numérique et de l'éducation qui demeure principale pour l'émergence de communautés dynamiques, praticiennes et détentrices de savoir-faire et autres connaissances en la matière. Car cette mission commune pour la sauvegarde du matériel culturel immatériel constitue une responsabilité partagée et tous les acteurs et parties prenantes devraient y œuvrer ensemble. La nécessité de cette convention est désormais plus largement reconnue. Sauvegarder les patrimoines de tous les peuples, cultures et civilisations, c'est en effet protéger l'identité, garantir l'égalité, empêcher la disparition des cultures des sociétés isolées ou exclues. C'est aussi assurer la participation à la vie publique, à l'activité culturelle, aux pratiques spirituelles, au dialogue entre les éléments de chaque société et entre les différentes sociétés et cultures. C'est enfin garantir le respect de la diversité, la tolérance et la compréhension mutuelle entre les êtres humains. Le patrimoine immatériel est important, Monsieur le Président. C'est un facteur de diversité qui mène aussi au développement durable. N'oublions pas que lorsque les sociétés comprennent l'importance du patrimoine immatériel, elles se rapprochent les unes des autres. Mesdames et Messieurs, mon pays a pleine confiance en l'organe d'évaluation qui fait preuve de professionnalisme dans l'étude et l'examen des dossiers soumis. Néanmoins, mon pays demande également au Secrétariat et aux États membres de travailler pour un rééquilibrage et un examen des dossiers de pays non représentés ou sous-représentés. D'un point de vue comptable ou purement mathématique, le panorama ou la balance est très largement déséquilibré, y compris pour cette session. À cet égard, le consensus sur le principe de 3 critères 5 adopté par le comité pour ouvrir la discussion et évaluer l'élément est un pas important en amont. Aussi, nous apprécions particulièrement le résultat des travaux du processus du dialogue qui s'avère efficace dans l'évaluation des dossiers, sans oublier notre intérêt pour une réflexion globale sur le mécanisme d'inscription sur les listes de la Convention, ainsi que notre adhésion au cadre global des résultats. Et nous souhaitons le renforcement du mécanisme de dialogue pour relever le défi du consensus et permettre aux membres du comité d'être le garant de l'universalisme de l'UNESCO. En vous souhaitant une bonne délibération, je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that comments and opinions, madam. And now I go to Japan. Over to you, Japan.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. First of all, we highly appreciate the fact that you have come all the way from Sri Lanka to Paris for this committee meeting. Thank you very much. And we are also grateful to you for the wonderful traditional dancing performance we saw earlier today. Thank you once again. And also, I would like to express my appreciation to the Minister of GPT for mentioning Japan in your statement. At the outset, Japan would like to congratulate the Secretariat for working tirelessly to make this meeting possible under the continuing COVID situation. Of course, we would have all loved to fly in Colombo and visit the beautiful country of resplendent land, and that will be for the next occasion. We would like to thank the evaluation body as well for adapting their working methodology to make an online evaluation possible and for continuing to ensure high quality work. This is the second year in which the upstream dialogue process has been fully implemented, and we are pleased to note that many projects have turned into favorable recommendations, and more projects than last year have been recommended to be inscribed. The global pandemic is still very much present in the world, and we acknowledge that it has been another difficult year for the Secretariat to have its activities accomplished. Nonetheless, we saw many positive developments. We welcome the Secretariat for continuing this effort in supporting practitioners and communities affected by the COVID-19 crisis. We are also pleased with the progress of the global reflection on the listing mechanisms of the convention with the organization of one meeting of experts in May and the 2 parts online meetings of the open-ended intergovernmental working group. We are looking forward to discussing its outcome at a later stage in this commission. Now, we welcome the Secretariat efforts in its 2 operational priorities, namely capacity building and safeguarding intangible cultural heritage in the formal as well as non-formal education. The protection of all forms of heritage in crisis and disaster risk reduction is one of Japan's priority areas, and we will continue to cooperate with the Secretariat and continue to the capacity building for safeguarding intangible cultural heritage. By the way, before closing, I would like to refer to what Mr. Curtis said earlier in terms of the need to make a choice for priority areas. And I think that kind of discussion is very much necessary at this stage in time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Japan. I think now already we have heard from 5 countries, that is Czechia, Sweden, Côte d'Ivoire, Azerbaijan, Djibouti, and Japan. I think now I would like to invite our secretary to give some answer to all these comments and questions. Over to you, Mr. Curtis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson, and I would like to start by thanking all the positive remarks we received from delegates. They are very appreciated and encouraging. I won't address comments. I think they are made, and I don't need to address them. But there was two very specific questions, and from Czechia, and some questions of a kind from Azerbaijan. And specifically, Czechia asked if the urban planning work done in the context of our ongoing project on ICH and cities will be translated into English. And indeed, we are working with our office in Lima, Peru, precisely for that reason. But I also would like to inform the honorable delegate that beyond that project, we're also working to a broader paper on ICH and urban planning as one of the thematic areas linked to Sustainable Development Goals, which we hope to have advanced on well for next year. The second question concerned the issue of the harmonization of the rules of procedure of the General Assemblies. Indeed, we will be presenting this to the GA in June, as I believe will be happening in various processes across all the cultural conventions. And we stand ready. We stand ready to discuss with the Bureau or receive thoughts on that matter if there's need for dialogue. But we will start working after this committee on that matter in preparation for the General Assembly in June. Azerbaijan mentioned some very specific areas of education and asked if we would be able to work with them. We certainly are very much open to the idea and take note of TVET, ESD, as well as education in emergencies as interesting areas of potential work. Again, all of this is resource dependent. But thank you, Mr. Chairperson. I would just like to thank the very positive encouragements we've had from many of the committee members. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Curtis. Now I would like to open the floor to Netherlands. Netherlands, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My delegation congratulates you with your chairmanship, and we thank you for the wonderful opening ceremony. I am pleased to share that Sri Lanka and the Netherlands are working closely together in the field of cultural heritage. Collaborative projects can stimulate mutual interest and the acknowledgement of difficult pasts. We would have loved to meet in person in Colombo, to experience your rich and beautiful culture and to meet all the wonderful people, and we regret that this isn't possible under current circumstances. However, we are convinced you will lead us through fruitful Zoom meetings the coming days. We are thankful to everyone, in particular the Secretariat and the other committee members, for their great effort to make this online meeting possible. Mr. Chair, we thank the Secretariat for this excellent report, and we appreciate the hard work, especially in these demanding times. We support the initiative of the Secretariat to create a platform on which communities can share their experiences during the pandemic. ICH proved to be an important means of resilience in times of crisis. We are pleased that the digital tool Dive into Intangible Cultural Heritage has been positively received by youth. The tool is an example on how data can be presented in an attractive way to the general public. To expand a tool like this and create other attractive tools to make knowledge on ICH accessible could be helpful to present data to the general public and especially youth. The 2003 convention is expanding its reach increasingly. The iOS report also points at this development. Although the Netherlands has always been in favor of new thematic initiatives, to intensify the integration of ICH in social, environmental, and educational areas, the expansion of the convention requires strategic decisions on priorities, as was pointed out earlier. How will the Secretariat establish priority areas for the coming years? The draft decision speaks about the preparation of information on the main activities, with cost implication and workload related issues for examination by the committee next year. Could the Secretariat elaborate on this? Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Now, I would like to invite China Over to you, China.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Since it is the first time for China to take the floor, my delegation would like to congratulate you on your chairmanship. We would also like to express our sincere gratitude to Sri Lanka as the host of this session and to all of these beautiful artists at the inaugural ceremony. Our thanks also goes to all the committee members and the Secretariat for their precious efforts to make the 16th session of the committee online possible. We highly appreciate the presentation by Mr. Curtis and all the efforts made by the Secretariat to ensure the smooth governance of the convention so as to respond to new challenges posed by the pandemic. We further commend the Secretariat for the great achievements it had made since last session, including carrying out the global reflection on the listing mechanisms, launching the thematic initiatives such as ICH and climate change, and strengthening synergies with other UNESCO cultural conventions, etc. We look forward to further progresses and wider involvement of all states parties and diverse stakeholders. As we can recall, the highest number of multinational elements have been inscribed during the last session, which has demonstrated the ability of ICH to bring people together and promote international dialogue and cooperation. Among them, there's a nomination jointly nominated by China and Malaysia, which is Wongchen Salaman. I would like to share with you that just early this month, the first anniversary of the multinational inscription of this element was celebrated by the communities concerned, both in Xiamen, Fujian, China, and in Malaysia. The communities in Malaysia joined the celebration by sending their congratulatory letter. This testifies that the element has become a symbol of friendship between the Malaysian communities and further helps to increase bilateral and regional cooperation. Your Excellencies, dear colleagues, the COVID-19 pandemic has profoundly changed our ways of life, threatening people's health and lives, as well as the practice and transmission of ICH. As the pandemic is still developing and spreading, we human beings have been connected and united more than ever in a particular way. Though we have to meet online for this session again, we believe that all we committee members, with the leadership of His Excellency Mr. Chairman, will continue to make new contributions to further promoting the implementation of the convention with shared responsibility and objectives. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, China. And now I would like to invite Poland. Open to you, Poland.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Poland wishes to congratulate you, Mr. Chair, for your warm welcoming with an introduction to a very rich, intangible cultural heritage of Sri Lanka. We wish to express our sadness that this year, again, we had to meet at online session because of the difficult time of the COVID-19 pandemic. We also want to commend Secretariat for taking the necessary measures to ensure that the governance of the convention could be maintained and appreciate the dedicated work for organizing this meeting. We share the opinion that in today's world, it is crucial to take all necessary measures to prevent cultural heritage from threats to the transmission and viability of intangible cultural heritage. The ICH is facing a threat that is still there and needs tools to safeguard and protect both the bearers and the elements itself. With appreciation, we welcomed the report Living Heritage in the Face of COVID-19 Pandemic, which explains the challenges of the protection of ICH in emergency situation. Poland wishes to express our satisfaction that despite the challenging time, we were able to continue our work over the year, especially on the reform of the listing mechanism, which is crucial to keep the credibility and continuity of the convention, At this point, we wish to thank very much Japan for the engagement within the process. Poland also commends Secretariat for initiating efforts in specific thematic areas to contribute to a holistic approach to heritage safeguarding and sustainable development, especially to subjects like ICH and climate change, commercialization, or urban context. We are especially appreciated to the new solutions in promoting the convention provisions, like finding the synergies between different cultural heritage mechanisms, like 1954 Hague Convention and its two protocols, 1972 World Heritage Convention and 2005 Convention. We congratulate the Secretariat for launching the new initiative, the UNESCO Massive Open Online Course on Living Heritage and Sustainable Development. An excellent tool not only to teach about and learn about the beauty of the ICH, but also to promote the mechanism of its protection. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Poland. And now I would like to invite cordially Brazil. Over to you, Brazil. Yeah, go ahead. Over to you. Brazil.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In the first place, I wish to congratulate you on your election and the fluid manner in which you have been conducting the works of our meeting. I have to mention how regretful it is that health measures have not made it possible to carry out face-to-face meeting in Colombo. Since the spirit of our convention is made of encounters of mutual recognition, in direct contacts and with active participation of our communities. We thank you for the delightful demonstration of Sri Lankan cultural manifestations, which we would have enjoyed even more watching live, though. Mr. Chair, Mr. Assistant Director General, Mr. Assistant Director General for Culture, Mr. Secretary of the Convention, I'd like to address my special thanks and compliments to the Secretariat for their invaluable work and for the comprehensive reports delivered on the activities that have been undertaken to promote the Convention under the very difficult context of the COVID-19 pandemic. The Convention for the Safeguarding of the Intangible Cultural Heritage is 18 years old. It's reaching the age of maturity in very good health. 181 members and a growing interest worldwide in the intangible heritage lists show the path of success we have pursued. Mr. Chair, this entire context encourages us to work with even more dedication. At the national level, we are also celebrating an important event, the 21st anniversary of our national program for the safeguarding of intangible heritage, a legal framework that precedes the 2003 convention itself. The Brazilian culture is composed of a myriad of cultural traditions and manifestations. This myriad is ourselves because it's a living heritage. Besides, it's what confers unity and identity to a society where people of different ethnic origins coexist within a gigantic territory. Brazil is fully committed to this convention. Our Institute of National Historic and Artistic Heritage, IFAM, has 84 years old. It means a long experience in all areas of cultural and historical heritage, which we continue to share in the cultural forums of UNESCO and that interacts with the life of the conventions. Culture, and more specifically intangible culture, was one of the first victims of the pandemic we are living through. Millions of artists, craftsmen, and cultural workers have lost their jobs. Many of them have lost their lives, and there is no way to measure the amount of wisdom which disappeared with them before they had the chance to pass it down to the new generations. Unexpectedly, during this crisis period, the bearers of our intangible heritage have found new ways of spreading and strengthening the transmission of traditional knowledge associated to their cultural assets. Mr. Chair, we know that the convention is going through an important moment. Our last meetings proved that there is a need to adapt and to improve its operational mechanisms and its rules of procedure. We will take an active part in this process as we have always done in the past. We will continue to contribute to the universality of our convention. Brazil is confident that the wide-ranging discussions carried through in the different areas of this convention will lead us to the right decisions, and we look forward to sharing with you our dedication and experience. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Basil. Thank you. And now I like to invite Sri Lanka. Over to you, Sri Lanka.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As our delegation is taking the floor for the first time, let us congratulate the Secretariat for organizing the meeting under the most challenging circumstances that we had no parallels in the recent past. Sri Lanka, thank you for your concern for the health and safety of all delegates and for taking the difficult but timely decision to hold the meeting from the headquarters in Paris in the distance mode and making quick adjustments to accommodate the last minute changes to suit to different time zones of the world to reduce inconvenience to delegates. Thank you for the detailed report which illuminates the work has been done by the Secretariat to safeguard intangible cultural heritage across the globe, despite the challenges of the pandemic. Sri Lanka recognizes the significance of the convention as an important vehicle for achieving sustainable development among all nations, which is extremely important for humankind accomplishing long-lasting peace. In this regard, the work done so far in the field of inclusive education is truly commendable. Although no one would be able to predict when we would be able to return to normal, we are convinced that the Secretariat, with the help of state parties, to overcome the challenges of the pandemic and achieve our goals of safeguarding ICH of the humankind. Our delegation wishes the Secretariat and the chairperson success in leading the 16th session as planned. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Sri Lanka. Thank you very much for the words. And now I would like to invite Togo. Over to you, Togo.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Bonjour aux honorables délégués. Monsieur le Président, je voulais commencer mon propos en vous remerciant et en vous félicitant pour la façon dont vous conduisez nos travaux. Nous sommes très reconnaissants de nous avoir amenés ou faire voyager jusqu'à Colombo tout à l'heure avec la cérémonie d'allumage des lampes à huile et les danses qui ont suivi. Et nous avons beaucoup apprécié. Nous avons voulu vous remercier pour cela. Monsieur le Président, nous voulons également remercier le Secrétariat pour le rapport très clair qui nous a été présenté par M. Curtis tout à l'heure, le directeur. Nous sommes contents du travail accompli et des résultats obtenus dans le cadre de la mise en œuvre de la Convention du patrimoine immatériel, malgré les temps difficiles que nous traversons depuis un certain temps. Nous nous réjouissons du fait que la plateforme des échanges ait été activée et nous nous félicitons également pour la formation en ligne en matière de patrimoine immatériel. Et c'est très, très intéressant pour nous. Nous apprécions le fait que si on connaît ces aspects, les patrimoines, on serait plutôt favorable à les défendre. On sait ce qu'ils représentent et quand on est formé pour cela aussi, c'est très intéressant d'avoir de meilleurs résultats. Monsieur le Président, nous voulons également remercier le comité d'évaluation qui a permis, par son travail, de nous faciliter la prise de décision sur l'inscription de certains biens. Et son travail nous permet également d'amender un certain nombre de points qui le mériteraient à nos groupes. Pour faire le lien, le Togo porte un amendement concernant Mbolon au Mali sur le point de 16 comme 8A3. Nous y reviendrons au moment opportun. Monsieur le Président, nos experts sont parmi vous, ils interviendront au moment opportun, mais nous voulons vous assurer que le Togo fera tout ce qui est de son pouvoir pour faire de votre présidence et de l'ensemble du travail qui se fait aujourd'hui du succès. Nous voulons remercier également le directeur, M. Tim Curtis. Il a tout à l'heure donné une information. C'était une question que je voulais poser, mais elle a déjà répondu. C'est le fait que nous soyons satisfaits du fait qu'on ait envisagé par rapport au modèle de règlement intérieur proposé par la 41e conférence générale, de faire en sorte que nous puissions procéder à une sorte d'alignement du règlement intérieur de la Convention du patrimoine immatériel. Nous sommes conscients qu'il y a des problèmes urgents à résoudre. Il a dit tout à l'heure, en parlant de priorités et de choix à faire, et l'ambassadeur du Japon l'a dit tout à l'heure, nous soutenons, le Togo soutient le fait que nous puissions faire ces choix prioritaires afin que nous soyons plus efficaces dans la conservation du patrimoine culturel immatériel. Il en va de même de l'amélioration du mécanisme relatif à l'inscription des biens. Nous sommes tout à fait disposés à travailler dans ce sens pour que sur ces deux questions, nous puissions avoir les meilleurs résultats de façon à avancer plus sereinement. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much, Togo. Thank you very much for that comments. And now I would like to invite Switzerland. Over to you, Switzerland.
Bonjour, Monsieur le Président. C'est la première fois que je prends la parole. C'est aussi la première fois que je m'exprime dans ce comité. Je suis très heureuse d'être avec vous. J'aimerais aussi vous féliciter pour votre présidence, tout d'abord, et me joindre à tous ceux qui regrettent de ne pas pouvoir être avec vous au Sri Lanka, dans votre beau pays si riche de patrimoine matériel et immatériel. J'aimerais aussi remercier le secrétariat pour son rapport d'abord riche et détaillé qui reflète l'intense activité de cette dernière année. Nous aimerions aussi souligner la capacité d'anticipation et d'adaptation du secrétariat pour faire face à la situation exceptionnelle que représente la pandémie. Ainsi, les activités statutaires ont pu se poursuivre grâce aux solutions techniques mises en œuvre. Mais au-delà, un travail spécifique a été mis en œuvre pour la sauvegarde et la promotion du patrimoine vivant dans ce contexte d'urgence sanitaire. La Suisse salue la poursuite et le renforcement des activités thématiques. Nous aimerions souligner en particulier les projets concernant les liens entre le patrimoine immatériel et le développement durable, le renforcement des capacités pour la sauvegarde du patrimoine en situation d'urgence ou encore l'éducation. Il est essentiel de concentrer suffisamment de ressources au secrétariat pour ces activités qui sont au cœur de notre convention. Les collaborations et l'utilisation des synergies avec les autres conventions culturelles représentent des opportunités pour traiter d'enjeux transversaux tels que le patrimoine en danger ou les effets des changements climatiques sur les biens culturels. Nous saluons le travail entrepris par le secrétariat dans ce domaine et souhaiterions lui poser une question par rapport à la collaboration avec le secrétariat de la Convention de La Haye de 1954. Ma question est la suivante. Le rapport mentionne la préparation d'un document de réflexion sur les synergies en matière de sauvegarde du patrimoine immatériel en situation d'urgence Quelles sont les principales orientations de ce document et quand sera-t-il disponible? Je vous remercie de votre attention.
Thank you very much for the comments. I think among the committee members, I would like to now invite Botswana.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Botswana congratulates you on the assumption, on your assumption to the chair of the 16th session of the Intergovernmental Committee, and commends you, Mr. Chairperson, in the manner in which you are conducting this meeting. Please be assured of our full support as Botswana. Chairperson, we were indeed looking forward to you hosting us in your beautiful country, but the pandemic unfortunately has prevented this. We also thank the Secretariat for the arrangements put in place for this meeting to take place nevertheless, and for the report under discussion. Chairperson, Botswana, like other countries, experienced challenges posed by the pandemic. Safeguarding activities by their very nature attract gatherings which cannot take place due to pandemics like COVID-19. Traditional folk dances, for instance, such as our Dikopelo and Siperu, which are listed under the ICH, could not be held. However, as a silver lining in the early part of this year, some COVID-19 protocols were relaxed, enabling a number of activities with their safeguarding plans. Some of these activities included boot camps for earthenware pottery making for both primary and secondary school leavers, school students, as well as capacity building workshops for the formation of a Potters Association to enable fast-tracking documentation and enactment of the ICH practice by communities, groups, and individuals. Chairperson, COVID-19 has also pointed out the need to explore the use of digital platforms to ensure that communities continue the implementation of their safeguarding plans for their respective ICH elements, especially during these challenging times. We therefore also welcome the Living Heritage in the Face of COVID-19 report. Before I conclude, Chairperson, despite the good efforts by the Secretariat, Botswana indeed laments the lack of geographical balance in the approval of files, which further illustrates the continued need for assistance to regions such as Africa. The approval rate of files for Africa is less than 50%. And at this rate, it will indeed be a long time and a great challenge for Africa to safeguard its intangible cultural heritage. Botswana also joins those who have appealed for increasing the capacity of the ICH Secretariat. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Botswana. And now I see another committee member, Kazakhstan. Over to you, Kazakhstan. Yes, I think, yeah, Kazakhstan,
Sorry.
are you ready?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead. Over to you.
Dear Mr. Chairman, Your Excellency, Kazakhstan would like to join the congratulations on your election and the way how you are navigating the session in maritime manner of the Great Silk Road. Being the landlocked country, Kazakhstan still have access to the Caspian Sea and Aral Sea, so we can to some extent evaluate your skills. This gives us confidence in successful results of our work. We also share the sadness of missing the hospitality of Sri Lanka. To some extent, it was replaced with wonderful live performance. But being a committee member, we know that video cannot replace living cultures. Secondly, my delegation would like to acknowledge the hard work of Secretariat, which really have burst into new initiatives, not only in disseminating ICH, but creatively exploring the new areas with non-formal and formal education, climate change, and other dramatic challenges. Kazakhstan would like to assure its commitments to contribute to UNESCO efforts, as colleagues know. Here, we would like to mark the essential support of Japan in the important work on reflection of the listing mechanisms of the Convention and proposals for related revisions to the operational directives. We noticed the positive implications already in the proposed draft decision by the evaluation body for this session. We are looking also to the review of the Article 18, and we thank Sweden for supporting this process. Let me stop here in order not to overload the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kazakhstan. Thank you very much for your comments. And now I would like to invite Jamaica. Over to you, Jamaica.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As it's the first time that Jamaica is taking the floor, I would like, first of all, to join with my fellow committee members in congratulating you on your selection to the chair of this intergovernmental meeting. As well to express our regret that we were unable to meet in person in Colombo, but we got a little taste of Sri Lankan culture in the excellent opening ceremony. We also would like to congratulate the Secretariat for the excellent work that it has been doing, the excellent report that it has presented, and also the flexibility and the ability to deal with the situation that presented itself and to move from an in-person gathering to an online platform, which so far as Jamaica is concerned, has worked very well. And we look forward to a very productive week of meetings. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, thank you very much, Jamaica. And I think 15 countries among the committee members have been given their comments and opinions. Thank you very much to all of you all. And I would like to invite the state parties. There are so many state parties are willing to give their comments. Syria, Uzbekistan, France, Portugal, Barbados. But I think before we go to that, I would like to invite our secretary, Mr. Tim Curtis. Now, can you just give us your comments? All these committee members have given their opinion. Over to you, Mr. Curtis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. And I once again want to take this opportunity to thank all the comments we have, which are very encouraging and helpful. So I won't try to address all the comments. I will just try to go to a couple of questions I picked up on, and I hope I haven't missed any, so that I can answer the question and then we can get back to the statements. But the first question I picked up was from the Netherlands on the draft decision proposal on presenting costs for prioritization. Obviously, this is something that we expect will be discussed probably more when we come to the iOS report and the evaluation, the iOS evaluation on the work of the convention. But what we mean there is really to have properly cost-based, informed decision-making on prioritizations, so that we work on linking what the real costs in terms of also needed extra budgetary support, but also our own human resource costs are on implementing certain recommendations and decisions, and so that by the next committee session, and or maybe in between, there can be informed decision making on that. So I don't know if that, I won't go into any of the details, but that is what is meant in that part of the section. I think there was also a question from Switzerland concerning the issue of intangible cultural heritage and emergencies, and particularly collaboration with 1954 Convention. If I understood, the delegate of Switzerland asked if there was a reflection paper, but perhaps just to clarify, there was a operational principles and modalities adopted last General Assembly, which was 3 years of reflection. We also, however, worked with the colleagues in the 1954 Convention and specifically its 1999 protocol to develop a paper in the context of that convention. That paper was presented to the, I think it's called the Committee of the 1999 Protocol or Second Protocol. I need to brush up a bit on the exact terminology there. But we presented, we basically presented the work we had done on our operational modalities and presented it in the context of the 1954 Convention, or its protocol, sorry, its second protocol. So that has already been presented, but not obviously in our convention, which really was the work that was developed, the reflection that was developed that led to the development of the operational directives, principles, sorry, the operational principles and modalities for safeguarding intangible cultural heritage in emergencies. Just as a small note, we are in the process of implementing those through capacity building programs which have been funded, thank you very much, also from Switzerland. We were able to work on in Honduras and in the Philippines, and also thanks to the delegation of Azerbaijan, we are starting to work on ICH safeguarding in situations of displaced people. Thank you. I don't know if there are other questions. I'm not sure if I missed any questions. I do want to again thank all the delegates for their statements. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Curtis. Thank you very much, Secretary. And now we'll go to state parties. I would like to invite Syria. Over to you, Syria.
Merci. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, je saisis l'occasion de notre présente réunion qui se tient en mode virtuel pour saluer au nom de mon pays, la République arabe syrienne, la tenue de la 16e session de notre comité du PCI. Monsieur le Président, vous félicitant pour votre élection et celle du Bureau, nous remercions la Présidence et le Bureau de la 15e session et nous vous assurons, Monsieur le Président, de notre soutien pour la conduite de nos travaux sous l'égide de la sagesse et de la bienveillance célèbre de votre pays, le Sri Lanka. Nous reconnaissons l'engagement sans faille des distingués, membres du comité, des ONG et experts membres de l'organe d'évaluation, le professionnalisme du secrétariat de 2003 et sa direction, ainsi que le secteur de la culture. Rien ne présageait, lors de la tenue de la 14e session de notre comité en 2019 à Bogota, que nous allions faire face 3 ans plus tard à un contexte pandémique persistant qui impacterait dramatiquement et de manière inégalitaire le vécu de nos sociétés et de nos communautés. Ce constat alarmant nous interpelle unanimement sur les menaces émergentes qui affectent la viabilité de notre patrimoine vivant et la pérennité des individus et des communautés. En leur qualité d'artisans ancestraux de la production, de la sauvegarde, de l'enrichissement et de la transmission du patrimoine culturel immatériel de nos civilisations. Nonobstant qu'ils mettent en exergue notre conscience collective à l'égard de l'esprit de notre Convention 2003, ce constat nous appelle à conjuguer nos efforts aux côtés du secrétariat de la Convention 2003 et de l'UNESCO dans le respect des principes éthiques pour la sauvegarde du PCI, lesquels ont été approuvés lors de la 10e session du comité en Namibie. Mais aussi, il nous incite à engager une coopération multilatérale pertinente qui consoliderait l'approche de la sauvegarde du patrimoine culturel immatériel dans les situations d'urgence, telles que stipulées lors de notre 14e session du comité. À travers l'ensemble des principes et de modalités opérationnelles, riches des conclusions de la réunion d'experts organisée à ce sujet par le secrétariat de la Convention, avec le soutien généreux de la Chine et d'autres membres du comité. Par ailleurs, et ayant la profonde conviction de l'importance cruciale que revêt le patrimoine vivant dans les situations d'urgence, ainsi que son rôle inclusif dans le relèvement sociétal, économique et environnemental, le gouvernement de mon pays et la République arabe syrienne s'est engagé depuis l'adhésion de 2005 à la Convention 2003 dans la mise en place d'une directive axée sur la place prépondérante du PCI comme levier transgénérationnel et participatif, consolidant les efforts nationaux et locaux de renforcement des capacités des communautés locales et leur résilience. Malgré les mesures coercitives illégales à son encontre, mon pays, la Syrie, n'a épargné aucun effort pour la viabilité du PCI. Nous assistons à la mise en place du registre national syrien du PCI, la création de la direction du patrimoine culturel immatériel au sein du ministère de la Culture en 2020-2021, les propositions d'inscription successives, la dernière en date étant la proposition d'inscription d'Al-Qudud al-Halabiya sur la liste représentative du PCI lors du présent comité, ainsi que le partenariat fructueux de l'ONG et le Fonds syrien pour le développement en sa qualité de membre de l'organe d'évaluation de la PCI et sa participation saluée au sein du Forum des ONG. Souhaitant le plein succès aux travaux de notre comité, nous aurons l'honneur de prendre la parole ultérieurement. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much for your comments, Syria. And now I would like to invite country Uzbekistan, the Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Tourism and Sports, His Excellency, Mr. Aziz Abdukha Kimor from of Uzbekistan. Over to you.
Mr. Chair, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I am addressing this session for the first time, and let me first congratulate you, Mr. Chair, on assuming the chairmanship of 16COM. I wish you all the best in this responsible post. I also would like to extend my appreciation to the Secretariat, Bureau members, and Evaluation Body for their extensive effort to make this virtual meeting possible. As we all know, intangible cultural heritage embodies the uniqueness of history, culture, and traditions of communities and nations. At the same time, it serves as a bridge to unite people, enhance intercultural understanding and peace. In this part of culture nowadays is also taken care of as the key pillars to develop sustainable tourism. I would like to commend the multilateral work that UNESCO and this Intergovernmental Committee are doing in order to help countries preserve, promote their intangible cultural heritage. With a history spanning millennia, Uzbekistan has been proud to have a very rich cultural heritage. My country has always attached a great importance to safeguarding its cultural heritage, including intangible elements. This heritage requires a special care to survive. It is a living heritage. It is alive with the people, among the people. Having this in mind, on the national level, we are taking some bold administrative, legal, and other steps to carefully transmit our intangible cultural heritage to new generation, to capable hands. I would like to reiterate that Uzbekistan is fully committed to implement 2003 Convention and support the efforts of UNESCO and the committee. We have 9 national and multinational elements inscribed to representative list. Hopefully, in a couple of the days, another element, Bakshi art, will be added to this list. We look forward and count on your support in this regard. I wish you a very successful session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, His Excellency, the Deputy Prime Minister of Uzbekistan. Thank you very much. And now I go to France. Over to you, France, for your comments.
Merci, Monsieur le Président, de me donner la parole et félicitations pour votre présidence et la conduite des travaux jusqu'à présent. La France tient à remercier le secrétariat pour avoir maintenu un certain niveau de dynamisme malgré les contraintes qui pesaient du fait de la pandémie. Par ailleurs, nous saluons la ratification de la Convention par l'Angola et la Somalie. En France, la protection du patrimoine culturel immatériel suscite un intérêt considérable. Et nous pouvons illustrer cela, par exemple, par des travaux de la mission d'information du Sénat, donc sur le patrimoine culturel immatériel, qui donc s'est réunie en 2021 et a publié un rapport au printemps afin de fournir un état des lieux à l'approche des 20 ans de la Convention pour la sauvegarde du patrimoine culturel immatériel en France. Et ce rapport comporte 25 propositions qui seront en partie suivies par le ministère français de la Culture pour ce qui relève de sa compétence, bien sûr. On peut en retenir, par exemple, les éléments suivants. Donc, le rôle déterminant que pourraient et peuvent jouer les collectivités territoriales dans la politique publique du patrimoine culturel immatériel au niveau national. C'est le patrimoine culturel immatériel, donc, qui est présenté dans ce rapport comme un véritable enjeu pour les politiques publiques sur les territoires, tout simplement parce qu'il donne une image moins élitiste de la culture, permettrait donc de redonner leur lettre de noblesse à des pratiques populaires longtemps déconsidérées. Il favorise également la diversité culturelle sur les territoires. De même, le patrimoine culturel immatériel comme levier de cohésion sociale et intergénérationnelle a été mis en avant donc, dans ce rapport. Et enfin, donc, la délégation souligne l'importance de la sensibilisation à la diffusion et du patrimoine culturel immatériel et encourage à ce titre la poursuite de l'outil plongé dans le patrimoine culturel immatériel. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much, France. Now I am enjoying in your country, in Paris, the beautiful, most beautiful city. And not only that, I get a lot of comments about your French government, how they look after the people with various types of communities. So this is a good example of safeguarding intangible cultural heritage. Thank you very much, France. Thank you very much. And now I go to Portugal. Over to you, Portugal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Sri Lanka, for a beautiful opening ceremony and for hosting and co-organizing together with the Secretariat this session. The 2003 Convention has succeeded worldwide in raising awareness of the distinct nature and the importance of intangible heritage, in ensuring respect of communities and groups and mutual appreciation, thus promoting respect for cultural diversity and human creativity. It should be stressed that the Secretariat has made invaluable contributions to these extraordinary achievements and to foster international cooperation and assistance. Notwithstanding, as found by the recent iOS evaluation, which will be discussed by this committee later, and I quote, "The 2003 Convention has been a victim of its own success. As demand for UNESCO support grows, the Secretariat is unable to adequately respond to all requests," end of quote. The report makes it clear that additional and permanent human resources will be required to fulfill the rising demands of state parties, and that most of its recommendations have resource implications. Portugal supports the iOS analysis and recommendations and recognizes that the main challenges going forward are related to human and core resources. The Convention is growing and maturing at a fast pace, but its supporting skeleton is not. Growing pains cannot be addressed only by voluntary financial contributions, reform efforts, or prioritization. It is imperative that the Secretariat, as the backbone for continuing successful implementation of the Convention, grows in tandem. In our view, the optimal funding of the Secretariat to deliver on the manifold and mounting demands is of paramount importance. and therefore consideration should be given to increase its allocation from the regular budget. The government bodies should discuss calling for future uplift in the Secretariat of the Convention budget in the next round. Portugal is strongly committed to the continuing success of the Convention. We look forward to the next meeting of the Reflection on the Listing Mechanisms Working Group and to the forthcoming reflection process for a broader implementation of Article 18. About a year ago, Portugal announced its first candidature to this committee for the 2022-2026 mandate. We hope state parties at the next General Assembly will trust us to take these important duties and responsibilities. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Portugal. And now I would like to invite Barbados. Over to you, Barbados.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And I join others in thanking you for your chairmanship of this meeting and the organization, the quick organization from in person to an online format. I also want to take this time, Mr. Chair, to thank the Secretariat as well for the work, the volume of work that they have been undertaking in respect to safeguarding our intangible cultural heritage. And I also want to take the time to extend my congratulations as well to the other various committees under the Secretariat that have been doing outstanding work to ensure that they safeguard our intangible cultural heritage. Mr. Chair, for no doubt the pandemic has paralyzed many of our countries, and as small island developing states, Barbados no less, we have felt the impact of this pandemic, which have gone on for almost 2 years now. And therefore, within the context of intangible cultural heritage, issues of sustainable development and economic development, and the value of economic value of intangible cultural heritage is indeed a priority for us in Barbados. Also as well, Mr. Chair, the value of ICH to building, repairing and rebuilding aspects of our society as we continue to grapple with this pandemic is indeed a priority for us here in Barbados. Mr. Chair, our country is the second largest has the second largest collection of transatlantic records, and we are moving very swiftly to undertake a project which seeks to build bridges between tangible and intangible cultural heritage. And in that regard, we are very interested in your ICH and urban planning project, and we look forward with earnest to any important results or lessons learned that we can utilize in moving forward. Finally, Mr. Chair, I want to support the work of the Secretariat in moving to prioritize work in terms of the volume that they have to face, and the work to focus specifically on building capacity, which I think we believe is key to building out all aspects of intangible cultural heritage going forward. And in this regard, we want to welcome the online course, which also seeks to further build capacity of persons across the world in terms of intangible cultural heritage. Again, Mr. Chair, I thank you for your chairmanship, and I extend congratulations to the Secretariat for all their hard work. We look forward, and Barbados wishes to give their full support to you as chairman and to the Secretariat in moving the work of building up our intangible cultural heritage going forward. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Barbados. And now I would like to invite Slovakia. Over to you, Slovakia, for your comments.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Dear members of the committee, dear Secretariat, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to congratulate you, Mr. Chairman, for your chairmanship and also for a very nice opening ceremony of this meeting. I feel really sorry that we cannot meet in your beautiful country, but I'm sure that thanks to your leadership, we will be able to have very interesting and interactive meeting. I would like to commend the Secretariat for having organized this virtual meeting under such important time constraints, and also thank them for a very exhaustive report detailing many important activities which happened over the last period. We are aware of difficulties under which the Secretariat has to function, especially with respect to the human resources, as was also mentioned by Mr. Tim Curtis. Therefore, I would like to highlight the possibility of voluntary contributions to help in pursuing all the priorities. Slovakia contributes regularly, especially to enhance the human capacities of the Secretariat of the 2003 Convention. I would also like to mention that we strongly support the work of the Secretariat, especially on the two operational priorities, capacity building, as well as the integration of intangible cultural heritage in formal and non-formal education. Inclusive work with primary and secondary school teachers, as well as local NGOs and wider community, is crucial. We welcome the project launched by UNESCO and the EU on engaging youth for an inclusive and sustainable Europe. It invites the teachers and learners to explore the living heritage and to learn not only about it, but also with it and through it. This was also the objective of a successful webinar organized by Slovakia and Czechia this year. Last but not least, I would like to commend the work of the open-ended working group on the listing mechanisms and the great chairmanship of the Ambassador of Japan. Slovakia is strongly devoted to its work to improve the functioning and reinforce the credibility of the listing mechanisms. Our devotion is clearly reflected in order to safeguard the intangible cultural heritage, also in our candidature to become a member of this highly esteemed committee, and we hope that we will be able to be there for the next meeting. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and I would like to wish you a successful meeting.
Thank you very much for your comments, Slovakia. And now I would like to invite Nigeria. Over to you, Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for giving Nigeria the opportunity to participate in this very important meeting. And also for the first time, let me join everybody here on behalf of the government and the people of Nigeria to congratulate you on your election and the manner you've been conducting the activities of ICH. I also appreciate the work of the Secretariat. I also look forward to activities that will involve Nigeria in terms of integrating the ICT into the curriculum and also in the educational system, so that we join the whole world in protecting the ICH. As you are aware, Nigeria is a multicultural society and is readily available and will continue to contribute to the work of the ICT towards the protection of the cultural and natural objects. I thank you, Mr. Chair. I wish you all the best, and we'll look forward to working more closely with you. We miss coming to Sri Lanka, but I think we are already in Sri Lanka now. We are so excited with the opening ceremony. It's a beautiful dance, similar to that of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nigeria, for that comments. Unfortunately, you all can't, but in the future, maybe we all are open. We can meet in Sri Lanka. Now, I would like to open the floor to Jordan. Over to you, Jordan.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I would like firstly to congratulate you for the presidentship of the session, and I would like also to express my deepest thanks for the Secretary for its huge work and its detailed report. In fact, we are convening here today here to emphasize on the role of ICH for building peace in the society by bringing together the people of the different cultures, faiths, and ethnicities, and by establishing an environment of mutual understanding, respect, and sharing. We should, as world community, to invest it to realize the goal 16 of the 2030 Agenda of the Sustainable Development of the UN, which focuses on the promotion and of peaceful and inclusive societies for all. We have a huge burden, but pleasant burden, by emphasizing on the inclusion of individuals and groups in the development and peace-building process. The promotion of various ICH elements of different groups, especially the marginalized one, and sharing of those elements among all the groups of the society are the main thrust of this inclusiveness. We are, Jordan, including the electoral group 5B, was part of the different activities conducted by the Secretary, especially the training related to periodic reporting and also intangible cultural heritage within the framework of education. We are very pleased to continue cooperation with the UNESCO Secretary and also with other groups, not only in the electoral group 5B, but also with different countries in the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your comments, Jordan. Now, I think I would like to invite Palestine. Over to you, Palestine.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. I would like, first of all, to congratulate you for your chairmanship, wise chairmanship, and I would like to thank Sri Lanka and you, Mr. Chair, for the nice opening ceremony. Unfortunately, we were not able to be in Colombo in Presencia, but I hope that it will be in the near future for another event. So I would like to thank also the Secretariat for its clear report and for their efforts, of course. And I would like to also thank the members of the committee who covered almost all the important issue. Nevertheless, since Palestine is very committed to this convention and is very interested in this convention, we are making our utmost efforts in order to put in conformity our national legislation, and thanks also to UNESCO Ramallah office, who is also contributing in this endeavor. Mr. Chair, I would like just to insist again on a few issues that has been raised by committee members. I think the reflection on the listing mechanism is a very important issue, as it has been mentioned, and we think the Secretariat is conducting this reflection very smoothly and very correctly, and we would like to see the outcomes as soon as possible. The other issue that is on the table since a while, it is the question of harmonization, which is one of the recommendations of the governance working group. Nevertheless, I think that at this stage, despite all the difficulties due to the pandemic, and you know how much it is difficult for us to conduct such huge events, this committee is one of the most important committees of UNESCO. But nevertheless, let me congratulate the Secretariat for their success in convening and organizing the committee online. It is very efficient, and we have really the possibility to express our ideas and to listen to other. So the exchange is there, and we look forward to continue our work under your able leadership, Mr. Chair. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, Palestine. And up to now, there are 15 committee member countries had given their opinion and comments, and 7 state parties. So altogether, up to now, 22 countries had participated. It's a very, very happy note. And with that note, I would like to invite again Cameroon. Please, over to you, Cameroon.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Merci, Monsieur le Président, de me passer la parole, étant donné que c'est la première fois que mon pays prend la parole la délégation du Cameroun voudrait vous remercier pour votre élection comme président de ce comité de la 16e session et vous féliciter pour la manière avec laquelle vous conduisez les travaux depuis le début, voire même avant avec les réunions préparatoires qui ont conduit véritablement à la tenue de cette session. Cette session qui se tient dans un contexte particulièrement difficile du fait de la résurgence de la pandémie avec le nouveau variant. La délégation du Cameroun tient à vous remercier, Monsieur le Président, pour cette décision qui prouve ô combien le PCI est important et qu'il contribue véritablement à la construction des valeurs de résilience que doivent porter toutes les communautés pour garantir la sauvegarde du PCI. Nous voulons aussi souligner, comme l'ont dit des éminents délégués avant nous, regretter de n'avoir pas pu effectuer le voyage pour Colombo, mais nous avons partagé avec enthousiasme la cérémonie d'ouverture qui nous a permis de comprendre combien humainement nous pouvons saluer les rituels de lampes, de feu que nous avons pu observer au moment de l'ouverture. Monsieur le Président, nous voulons saisir cette occasion pour remercier l'UNESCO, Madame la Directrice Générale, le sous-directeur culture, Monsieur Otoné, pour tout le leadership et l'engagement soutenu qu'il montre toujours pour faire connaître la Convention. Nous remercions également le Secretariat de la Convention pour toute sa disponibilité avec toute son équipe, ses conseils et notamment les activités qui sont menées qui permettent d'approfondir chaque jour les différents domaines de réflexion, de recherche complémentaires qui nous permettent de comprendre que le PCI n'est pas un seul point, mais c'est véritablement une situation globale qui concerne la vie et donc l'humanité. Nous voulons saluer tout ce travail qui est fait par le secrétariat de la Convention. Nous voulons ici souligner que la dimension qui concerne le renforcement des capacités nous intéresse particulièrement en ce qui concerne le Cameroun pour nous doter des outils nécessaires pour pouvoir garantir l'avenir du PCI de manière générale. Monsieur le Président, nous voulons encore vous dire merci pour le travail que vous faites. Merci encore. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much, Cameron. And also I would like to greatly appreciate the participation of today's session. 25 countries had participated, and it's greatly appreciated. And not only that, the comments given about our country, Sri Lanka, is also commended, and I'm very happy about that. And I must thank all of you all for all these comments and encouragements. And now I would like to ask the Secretary, Mr. Curtis, over to you. And also, according to the agenda, we have to get this decision. But I think now the time is 1:15 p.m. in Paris time, according to the timetable and according to that, we have to get a pause, right? According to our agenda and timetable, we will now pause for 1 hour. But before that, I would like to ask Tim Curtis to give your comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Just a couple of housekeeping notes. Just to remind you that the length of the break is 1 hour, meaning from 1:15 p.m. to 2:15 p.m. Paris time. And during this break, Participants are kindly requested to stay connected, but please do turn off your cameras and microphones. I also wanted to mention that following today's session, there will be a press conference taking place from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. with your chairperson, as well as the Assistant Director General for Culture and myself. This event is reserved to journalists, and if you require access but have not yet confirmed your attendance, we ask you that you email Mr. Thomas Millard at tmillard@unesco.org. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Tim Curtis, the Secretary. Thank you, and I wish you all the pleasant break. Please be back in 1 hour. Thank you very much.